Hello guys, welcome back to my channel and enjoy this fanfic part 3. Now let's start the fanfic. This, my mother, he stuttered while pointing a shaky finger at the transformed Kurenai. He now completely understood what Ayumi was trying to describe about her. His mother was a definition of angel, a top quality one at that. He just didn't know how to describe her. Beautiful, amazing, breathtaking, hot, sexy, gorgeous, all these words were just not enough to describe her unearthly beauty. Holy Mother of Raikudo Sennin. Damn. Never thought my mother would be so hot, thought Naruto before muttering about his father being a lucky bastard. Even though he knew she was his mother, he couldn't help but think about her as a woman. Standing in front of him was a Hangdu Uzumaki Kushina in skimpy civilian clothes courtesy of Kurenai. She had long flowing red hair, heart-shaped face, light violet eyes, all in all her face was just perfect. All the body curves were in right proportions, with D-cup, milk creamy flawless skin, slim-toned waist and legs, and had an hourglass figure. A small portion of her forehead was covered by her red silky hair held by a clip, making her even more cute and beautiful. If Ayumi wasn't a Biju, he surely would have thought of her as his mom's sister. Hee, I kind of expected that kind of reaction, said Kurenai Kushina as she had her hand on her hips. Naruto slowly lifted his hand to her face while moisture gathered in his eyes. Keika-san, he said shakily while streams of tears flowed down his cheeks as his hand cupped her cheek. Kurenai Kushina blushed at the contact before leaning into his touch while she put her hand on his hand to deepen the touch. Meanwhile, Naruto activated his Rinnegan. He wanted her mother's face to be forever burned into his mind. The Rinnegan could copy images or any form of writing, an ability he discovered during the training while reading the scrolls. Kurenai gasped silently when she saw his eyes. They were beautiful. His purple eyes seemed to have a glow to them, also the effects of his white chakra seemed to increase. It's okay, Nato-kun. I know you miss her, but life is all about moving on. She wouldn't want you to cry for her every day, rather she would want you to accomplish your dreams and be happy. Did you know what was her dream when she was of your age? She said as she cancelled the henge while Naruto wiped his tears with his forearm before shaking his head. When asked, she would always say she wanted to become the first female Hokage, similar to your dream, she said while Naruto's eyes widened at the prospect of learning that their dreams were so similar. Accomplish your dreams, Naruto-kun, fulfill her dream. I know you can do it, she said as she put her hand on his shoulder while he started to chuckle softly after coming over his shock. You're very precious to me, so I'm not gonna lie to you, Kurenai-chan. Although a large part of me understands the behavior of the villagers towards me, but still a small part of me hates these villagers with passion and wants nothing more than to kill them. That part of me, you can say that it is the negative Naruto, the one which was born through emotions like pain, hate, fear, loneliness and revenge, the part which I've suppressed within the deep recesses of my mind, he said while Kurenai was shocked that inside this bright Naruto, there existed a dark one which wanted to get back at these foolish villagers for how they treated him since he was a baby. A large part of her totally agreed with getting rid of these ignorant villagers who couldn't tell the difference between a kunai and a sealed kunai. But, he inhaled deeply, but, I think there's still hope for the younger generation. Right now, their views are influenced by their parents, but I'll make them see the truth. Unless a miracle happens, I know that it will be very difficult to change the views of the elder generation, if not completely impossible. The Shadaime, Nadaime and the Yodaime would be ashamed of these people's ignorance. When Gigi gazes upon his village from the monument, I see nothing but sadness, pity and shame in his eyes. Sadness that he couldn't change the villagers' views of me, pity at their ignorance and shame at what the people of this village have come to. Some time ago, I thought about leaving this village thinking that becoming Hokage of these pathetic villagers be damned. But I've learned that a king does not choose its people, but rather the people elect their king. The only thing the king can do is change their views towards him, He paused to regain his breath while Kurenai was stunned at the level of maturity that he was showing. To go that deep, he truly had the traits of an upbeat visionary. Hee, it would have been the absurd height of cowardness to leave my village. Running from my problems, giving up on my dream, that's not the trait of an Uzumaki, and I never back down from any challenge. He lifted his head to gaze into her eyes. Her breath got caught in her throat when she saw the fire in his eyes. From now on, no more Mr. Nice Guy. If they glare at Uzumaki Naruto, he will not smile back but return it 1,000 times stronger. If they attack him, he would not hold back to defend himself. Consequences be damned. He pointed his thumb at his chest. I will become the best Hokage of Konoha, and if anybody has a problem with that, well, they can go eat their shit. I'm tired of trying to gain recognition from these stupid villagers. From now on, I'll treasure the precious people that I have. I'll fulfill my dream, for my precious people and most importantly my mother, he said, a determined smirk while Kurenai smiled at him lovingly. I guess the Rinnegan did wonders to you, didn't it? She spoke while he raised his eyebrows. Surprisingly, your guess is right. After the awakening of Rinnegan, I have a somewhat changed outlook of life. That's why I refuse to hide under a stupid mask or dress like a clown. I'll bust these villagers straightforward, he said with an evil foxy grin while Kurenai smirked. The villagers better watch themselves from now on, she thought. But, I'd better go, Kurenai-chan. The overload of information may cause a headache to boss. He already has a lot on his mind lately, he said while she nodded before walking up to him and kissed him on the cheek. Take care, Naruto-kun, and be safe. In preliminaries, kick some for me, said a grinning Kurenai while a blushing Naruto grinned sheepishly. He rubbed his back head before giving her a thumbs up. Sure, Benihime-chan, he said before dispelling himself while Kurenai smiled at where he was a moment ago. And I promise to you, Naruto-kun, that I would always love you, remain by your side and help achieve your dream, she whispered to herself before gazing at the sky. You'll be proud of your son Kushina-ne-chan, she said while a few tears escaped her ruby eyes. She really missed her idol who she had always thought of as an elder sister. I'd better report to Hokage-sama. There's no use in tracking them anymore. They're already about to reach the tower, she thought before shining out the area. Iwagakure Tsuchikage's office. I was current Tsuchikage Onoki of the Twin Scales, a shinobi renowned for his experience, flying and dust techniques, was currently battling an enemy, probably a common enemy of all the cages except the Akatsuki paperwork. Damn, my back is killing me, if it weren't for my old age. Ack! Grunted Onoki in pain. If anyone outside the village would have seen him, her thoughts probably would have been on the line. This old shrimp Mota is the Earth Shadow Duns. Bet this baldy punk couldn't even bend to see his own scrawny rotten limpin' lol. Onoki was interrupted by a knock to his door. Enter, he said without looking up from his paperwork. Tsuchikage-sama. A Chunin walked in with a scroll. What is it this time? The Tsuchikage said in his old gruff voice, looking bored. Generally, these frantic interruptions were all about his granddaughter Kuretsuchi, wreaking havoc in the village, mainly to test her skills or pass her time, as most of the time she remained bored anyways. This is serious, Tsuchikage-sama. We have received an urgent top-secret message from the cage, said an anxious Chunin while Onoki raised his eyebrows. What does he want? He pondered while taking the scroll. You can go now, he said. The Chunin bowed before leaving his office. He put the official Tsuchikage's stamp on the scroll. The stamp mark glowed for a second, before the scroll opened with a click sound. He then started reading the scroll, his eyes getting wider by the second before an unsettling small smirk formed on his old face. Well, payback's a bitch, isn't it, Konoha? He thought with excitement. Meanwhile, the Forest of Death, the tower. Team 7 along with Kin had reached the tower a while ago. They had just entered the hall before Sakura fell to her knees, all sweaty, and was panting heavily. Naruto, you're one ruthless slave driver, she said while panting. Meanwhile, Kin was still asleep while Sasuke hadn't woken up yet. Meanwhile, Naruto was lost in his own thoughts. Ever since the shadow clone had dispelled itself, the information that he gained had shocked him to his very core. He had almost dropped Kin due to the shock, but composed himself although barely. But his shadow clone couldn't hold his shock, and in the process dropped Sasuke. And he had to hold back himself from rolling in laughter. Sasuke was just waking up when he was dropped, resulting in his head hitting a branch and he again lost consciousness. Sakura didn't notice anything because she was in front of the shadow clone, already tired up and panting. Even nature didn't want to hear about his rambling about the Uchiha's pride, thought an amused Naruto. But that aside, he was really giddy that he had found his childhood friend after all this time, although in reality she was the Genjutsu mistress, and most of all, he saw his mother's appearance today. Just thinking about her made him blush. What's wrong with me? She's my mother, and besides, it's not like she's going to come back from the dead, thought Naruto sadly while choking up his unshed tears. He would never be able to meet his mother again. However, he was dead set in fulfilling his mother's dream and telling those villagers that who was the boss now. He was brought out his thoughts when he sensed his cheeks being pinched. He focused his vision to see Sakura staring intently at him while pinching his cheeks, hard. Ow, what do you think you're doing? It hurts, he yelled as his whiskers marks were sensitive but was interrupted when she put her hand over his mouth while glaring at him. Shh. She's asleep, do you want to wake her up? She whispered angrily, but had a faint blush on her cheeks due to the contact. Damn, who would have thought he would become so handsome? MMPH. Tried to say Naruto in muffled voice but couldn't remove her hand as his arms were busy holding Kin. What? I can't understand you, said Sakura while she leaned in close to hear him. Crazy girl, he thought before creating a shadow clone. Get your hands off boss Sakura Baka, yelled the clone dramatically while she removed her hand, a sheepish expression on her face before the shadow clone's words registered in her mind. What? How dare you call me Sakura Baka clone Baka? She yelled while pointing an accusing finger at him. Oh sorry, what was your name again? Yeah, it was Haruno Forehead, said the clone while he transformed into Ino. Why you Ino pig? She growled while advancing towards him. Yeah, bring it on Forehead. The clone was dispelled before it could complete the sentence, courtesy of Naruto whose eyes were twitching dangerously. Sakura, come over here, said Naruto authoritatively, which left no room for argument. Sakura gulped nervously before nodding. She had seen him what he could do if angry and wasn't going to risk it. Why yeah? Asked Sakura meekly under the glare that Naruto was weighing upon her. Open both these scrolls and don't do anything silly now. Kin is already injured and we have to treat her injuries as fast as possible, he said while handing her the scrolls. She took the scrolls before opening both of them at the same time. Smoke started arising out of the scrolls while Sakura blinked in confusion. These are summoning scrolls, drop them, he yelled while Sakura threw them away from her. The smoke cleared for them to see Yumino Iruka standing there with proud smile on his face. Congratulations you three. You have passes the second part of Chunin exams, said the academy teacher while Sakura whooped with joy. Naruto was just happy to see his brother like sensei again. It's nice to see you again Iruka sensei, he said with a smile while Iruka turned his head to him. Naruto, what the hell happened to you? Said a gobsmacked Iruka while Naruto sighed. It's an S-rank secret sensei, you just have to ask Gigi about it, said Naruto while wondering how many times he would have to repeat that line today. Iruka could only nod dumbly. Anything concerning Naruto just had to become an S-ranked secret. I hope Kyubi has nothing to do with this. Who knows, it might be influencing Naruto, thought Iruka, concerned for his favorite student before his eyes landed on a girl in Naruto's arms and an unconscious Sasuke on the back of another Naruto he presumed was a shadow clone. What happened to Sasuke? And who is she in your arms? Asked a confused Iruka, but on the inside was proud that his brother-like figure was becoming a man. Sakura glanced at Naruto, not sure about what to say about Sasuke's condition. He got exhausted in a fight we had with another team for the scroll, but is otherwise alright and only unconscious. He then glanced at a sleeping Kin with a small smile on his face, which didn't go unnoticed by Iruka. We found her injured on our way here. She was alone, so we took her with us for treatment, lied Naruto calmly while Iruka nodded. Sakura was amazed that Naruto could deceive an experienced Chunin, masking his emotions like that was just amazing. But that aside, do you know the meaning of these scrolls? Asked Iruka in his lecture voice while Naruto paled at that tone. He really wasn't in the mood to listen to any lecture right now. Sakura would have listened intently to Iruka, she being the book smarts and all, but was tired as hell and wanted nothing more than to hit the bed. Iruka however didn't pay them any attention, rather took the scrolls and put them onto the uncompleted message on the back wall. He then started explaining the meaning of it, all the while facing the wall. So in nutshell, you should concentrate on enhancing your mental and physical skills. Any questions? Asked a smiling Iruka, proud at how well he had explained the riddle. He turned his head to see nobody but a scroll on the floor. Confused as to where they went, he opened the scroll and started reading it. Sensei, I already know the meaning of those scrolls, but thanks anyway for wasting your 10 minutes explaining it. Boo-ha-ha-ha-ha. Spirits are always with you. Guess where I took that line from? Future Hokage of Konoha, Iruka Sensei. Thanks for explaining whatever you did. We'll always remember it, although we didn't hear it. Ha 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 ha. Shanaru. Naruto. Sasuke is unconscious, but I know him pretty well. So according to me, servant, HN. You should be honored to be my sensei. I've got my Sharingan to master and a traitor to kill, so I don't have any time to listen to your ed-up lectures. However, as your reward for your good-for-nothing efforts, I allow you to watch me fight like the elite I am. The great Uchiha-sama, leader of the Emo clan. Silence, pin-drop silence followed after Iruka had read the scroll. Those bloody ingrates, he hissed angrily with gritted teeth, his face red and his eyes screaming murder for Team 7. Naruto ooh. Meanwhile, Team 7 along with Kin had found an empty restroom which were for the passing teams. The room was nothing special, but contained 3 single beds and the regular necessities which you find in a cheap hotel room. But in Naruto's opinion, it was much better than his apartment. Alright, you can rest here Sakura while I call for medical treatment, said Naruto while the doppelganger, shadow clone put Sasuke on the bed and dispelled itself. Naruto on not receiving any answer turned his head to see a loudly snoring Sakura on the bed, her arm hanging limply on the side of bed and drool escaping her mouth. He sweat dropped before chuckling lightly to himself. I guess I really worked her to the ground I don't know what caused you to change so much Sakura, maybe Orochimaru's interference, but I'm glad you did. Hopefully, just maybe, we still can be friends, thought Naruto as he reviewed her behavior in the Forest of Death after his training. So far, she had done nothing suspicious, but still. He then turned his gaze to Kin, who was starting to wake up and slowly opened her eyes. The first thing she saw was Naruto's oceanic blue eyes and his warm smile sending vibrations through her body. Morning sleepyhead, he said while she shyly smiled back making Naruto just want to kiss her and never let her go. She then noticed her surroundings. Did we reach the tower? She asked while he nodded. How are you feeling Kin-chan? Asked a concerned Naruto while she again blushed at Chan, part to her name. Nobody had ever addressed her with so much kindness and concern in her village. I'm fine Naruto-kun, thanks to you, she said with a small smile while Naruto looked away with a small blush. Man I gotta control myself, but she's so cute, so irresistible, he thought while mentally slapping himself. Alright, I think it's mainly due to my chakra. Now I'm gonna slowly stop the flow of my chakra on your rib region, then tell me what you feel. I have a theory to confirm, he said as he slowly lowered the amount of chakra he was constantly giving to her. He watched as her face scrunched up until he completely stopped the flow. So, any difference from before? He asked expectantly. I'm suddenly feeling tired. My body is still sore from the injuries, but surprisingly there's very little pain in my ribs which was damaged the most. But, how is that possible? She asked in confusion while Naruto's eyes widened. Great. Looks like apart from acting as a painkiller, it enhances and accelerates the body's immune system and healing factor. Guess there are some abilities of my dujutsu and chakra which I have to find on my own, he thought, excited that he could somewhat treat injuries with his chakra, although much slower than a medic could, but still it was damn useful. It's the exact opposite of Yuki nature, which is harmful to our chakra coils, but still is much strong and potent. I can't tell you much, but just that my chakra accelerates healing factor of one's body. You can refer it as a sort of a bloodline, he said while her eyes widened in surprise. That's so cool, she exclaimed excitedly while Naruto grinned at her. He noticed that some of her personality traits matched his, mainly when she was excited about something. Alright, I think you should rest up a bit as we have 2 days until the second exam ends. Meanwhile, I'll look for a medic to completely heal your injuries, he said as he laid her on the third bed, not that way you perverts. While she nodded, albeit a bit sadly on losing his warmth. Naruto, on seeing her gloomy face bent down and kissed her on the forehead. Don't worry Kin-chan, I'll be back as fast as you can blink, he said while grinning as she blushed a scarlet red. Hi, she said happily before Naruto left the room. Several minutes later, he found a medic nin before sending her to their restroom for treatment of injuries of Kin, Sakura and Sasuke while he decided to roam for a while. Oh man, I forgot my cape with Kin-chan. I think I look kinda cool with it, he thought while walking before he bumped into someone round a corner of the corridor. Ouch. Hey, watch where you're going idiot. Like you were watching. Hey, you're that girl from the sand team. What was your name? Tamari, right? He said while helping her to stand. She looked up and immediately blushed furiously upon seeing him. Holy mother of pure wind. I mean, wow, she thought while covering her cheeks with her hand to hide her blush leading to Naruto having a sweat drop. Hey, are you alright? He had just offered to help her stand, and she was blushing like he was demanding her virginity. Did he do something wrong? It seems I have a knack for meeting weird people today, he thought dejectedly. Why yeah, thanks. But, who are you? She asked in confusion while Naruto blinked in surprise. We just met some days ago. I'm Uzumaki Naruto, remember? He asked expectantly while she pondered if she had heard that name before. She did, but where? After some time of racking her brain, her eyes widened in surprise. You mean to say that you're that idiot, annoying, loudmouth ninja wearing that kill me orange jumpsuit? She asked before quickly clamping her mouth shut with her hands while his eyebrows twitched. Was my acting that natural? Well, I did dig my own grave. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. Don't worry, it's cool. Sometimes I do tend to act like an idiot, said a grinning Naruto. But what the heck happened to you? She asked. That's a secret to Mari-chan, he said teasingly while she blushed. But where's that clown paint and bloodthirsty brother of yours? He asked jokingly while she giggled. Hee, Kankuro is sleeping right now in Gaara. Well you know, just trying to sleep, she said nervously, not wanting to reveal her brother's secret while Naruto nodded. He had sensed the evil aura of Yuki that Gaara seemed to be radiating constantly, thus he knew that Gaara too was a Jinchuriki like himself. Oh well, I'd better be going. It was nice to meet you Tamari and good luck for the preliminaries, he said while walking past her. See you soon Naruto and… Hey wait, what do you mean by preliminaries? She asked frantically. You'll see, he yelled over his shoulder as he rounded the other corner and disappeared out of her sight leaving a perplexed Tamari. Time skip. 2 days. After his meeting with Tamari, 2 days passed quickly for Naruto. Kin was perfectly alright after the medic had treated her, and Sasuke too awoke after some time. The first thing after waking up he did was attack Kin, and surprisingly for Naruto, she was easily able to hold her own until he arrived and stopped Sasuke. And not so surprisingly, the Emo King started demanding that Naruto teach him those jutsus that he used in the Forest of Death. The result being Naruto kept ignoring him, something that enrages Sasuke even more than his brother's presence. So as expected, Sasuke challenged Naruto to a rematch right there and then while Sakura tried to play the peacemaker. Naruto just kept ignoring him, not wanting to waste his chakra. Eventually, Sasuke gave up and started doing what he does best, i.e. brooding. Aside from that, Naruto again went to his mindscape and met Ayumi. They spent quality time with each other, Ayumi telling Naruto about his mother and all her experiences. She was a, who knows how much old, demon after all. Naruto too enjoyed her company very much. After 12 years of loneliness, he had finally found a friend, and he would be damned if he let this opportunity go to waste. He too shared his experiences, jokes, his pain, and she understood him very well as she had seen his memories. He had finally found a shoulder to cry on, someone to hug when he was lonely, someone to embrace when he was asleep. He also changed his mindscape from that of a sewer to that of a beautiful landscape with lush green grass, dense forests, mountains, and anything in nature that you could relate to peaceful and beautiful. To ensure that she wasn't lonely when he wasn't there, he created several animal species in the forests, especially foxes. She always played with baby kitsune and several other animals. To see her this happy, his heart leapt with joy. She had also informed him that they could contact with each other telepathically when he was not in his mindscape, but the seal was still strong for them to do that. But there was a solution. If he could find the key for the seal and weaken it just a little bit, not only would they be able to talk with each other telepathically, but Naruto could access more of her tales. This led him to take a mental note to ask Gigi about it, but he had to tell him about Ayumi first. However, he wasn't going to forgive the old man so easily for keeping his friends away from him. Oh, he will pay for it, believe it. He also learned that the time frame was displaced whenever he was in his mindscape, but not on the level of Tsukiyomi. So he had spent more time with her than he expected, and you could say that they were close to each other now. Naruto had also spent time with Kin, getting to know more about her, about how she was treated in her village. He was shocked at how similar their life was up until now, and he too told her about his life, though not about him being a Jinchuriki. She too was surprised at how he was treated, but eventually they became good friends. Kin also told him about her only best friend in her village, Tayuya. Naruto learned that although Tayuya had a foul mouth, she was a caring person, fierce and brute on the outside but soft and fragile on the inside, and they supported each other in their difficult times. Naruto tried to find Team 8, he was eager to meet Hinata after all. His mask thrown aside, he could finally act normally and at least be friends with her first and get to know each other better. He was also surprised when he heard that Team 10 and Kin's team had passed the test. Well, he certainly didn't expect a lazy and a crippled team to pass. He also noticed that Ino looked a bit down and sad, but he didn't pay any attention. Maybe she was sad because her Sasuke-kun lost to him in the forest. On the final day, with 2 hours left to complete the test, all the teams were led to a big arena having a huge stone-made ram seal in the middle, while there was an elevated railing platform on either side of the arena. Upon reaching there, Naruto noticed that the teams which had passed were Team 9, Team 10, Kin's team, Kabuto's team, and the Sand team. Except the passing teams, no one else was in the arena right now, while he noticed the surprised stares he was getting from Kabuto's team and Kakuro. Apparently Gaara was only interested in giving blood whoever his mother was. Naruto was, however, more watchful of Kabuto. He had a bad feeling about that guy ever since he met Kabuto. He then noticed that there was still no sign of Team 8 and sighed sadly. I guess Hinata-chan's team couldn't pass the test. But still 2 hours are left, there might be some hope, thought Naruto optimistically. 1 hour went by and Naruto began to lose hope when suddenly, he heard some rustle outside of the arena. Come on guys. I knew we'd pass, right Akamaru? Asked an ecstatic Kiba followed by a bark of approval from Akamaru while Naruto smirked as he definitely knew that voice. Looks like they passed the test he thought but was brought out of his musings when he heard an all too familiar soft and an angelic voice. Wait for us Kiba. He heard the muffled yell of Hinata. I'm telling you Hinata, we are probably the first team to pass the exam, choked Kiba mid-sentence when he saw a total of 6 genin squads staring at him in amusement. Meanwhile, Naruto sighed, shaking his head in amusement. What an idiot, he muttered while chuckling lightly to himself. Dobi, what are you laughing about? Demanded the Uchiha with his patented scowl while Sakura frowned at Sasuke's behavior. She had been constantly observing his behavior for the past 3 days and found that Sasuke was the reason for most of their fights. Sakura's admiration for Sasuke was constantly being degraded as she watched him for the first time with a sane person's perspective. Progressively, she stopped taking Sasuke's side, unlike previously. She still cared for him and thought that maybe the curse seal was affecting him, but sometimes he just got on her nerves. What? Do I have to ask for your permission Uchiha-sama? Asked Naruto sarcastically with a roll of his eyes while Sasuke narrowed his eyes in anger. But before he could make his emo remark, Sakura stepped between them. Please Sasuke-kun, all the teams are watching. This exam is about teamwork remember. If we're going to have conflicts in our team, then how can we become Chunins? She said using her smart brain as she knew he would stop at the prospect of advancing in ninja ranks and gain more power while Naruto was satisfied with Sakura's interruption, he didn't want to fight now as they would get disqualified. You better stay out of my way loser, grunted Sasuke as he went to the wall, leaned against it and started brooding, probably making devious strategies and plans on how to defeat his brother while Sakura sighed in relief. Thanks Sakura, whispered Naruto while she nodded with a smile. Meanwhile, all the teams were watching this show in amusement. They couldn't fathom that how a team like that could have passed the second exams, but Team 10 knew all too well. Shikamaru muttered, troublesome, at Sasuke's behavior while Choji sighed at their antics. How could I ever have felt something for an idiot like him, thought Ino with a frown as she watched Sasuke. What a bunch of losers, said Kankuro with a confident smirk while Temari was busy blushing when she saw Naruto again. Mother wants your blood Uchiha, thought Gaara with a psychotic grin leading to a nervous Kankuro and Temari stepping away from him. Meanwhile, Zaku was busy glaring at the Uchiha, his eyes seeing only one thing: revenge. Kin had joined her so-called team, while Dosu was constantly glaring at her. Neji had an arrogant smirk on his face. Tenten was busy sharpening her kunai while Lee was doing one-hand vertical push-ups, all the while yelling about his youth crap. Kabuto was also keeping a close eye on Naruto. He could feel that Naruto's power had somehow increased drastically during the second exam. On the other hand, Hinata and Shino had just reached the entrance where a dumbfounded Kiba was standing. However, Shino and Hinata weren't surprised at all to see the 6 passing teams. They had already predicted this as they did completed the exam just before the time limit. They became scanning the teams and as expected Hinata became ecstatic when she spotted Team 7, but was confused when she didn't see any orange. Where is Naruto-kun? She thought when she didn't see him anywhere in the arena. However, she did found someone she hadn't seen before, who was wearing a white cape with his back towards her, who she dismissed as a possible Yamanaka proctor because of his blonde hair. His blonde hair made her suspicious, but she just ignored it. She also noticed that Sakura was talking to Sasuke about something before he went towards the wall. Worried about Naruto, she approached Team 7, Sakura to be specific. She timidly poked Sakura on her shoulder. Sakura-san? Asked Hinata while Sakura turned towards her. Oh, Hinata. Congratulations on passing the second exam, she said cheerfully while Naruto was busy in his own thoughts. so he didn't notice that Hinata was standing beside him, neither did Hinata as she was worried about Naruto. Thanks, but do you know where Naruto-kun is? Asked Hinata, wondering where her favorite blonde is. Do you know where Naruto-kun is? She asked timidly while Sakura blinked in confusion. What do you mean? He's standing right. She trailed off when she realized that Hinata hadn't seen the new Naruto before, inwardly grinning evilly. Sakura slung her arm over Hinata's shoulder with a grin that would scare even the greatest prankmaster. Say Hinata, do you know that Naruto told me that he liked you? She said dramatically while Hinata's face went extremely red. Really? She asked with a tinge of hope, barely able to contain her excitement if what she heard was true. Yeah, if you don't believe me, then just ask him yourself, said Sakura with an evil glint in her eyes while Hinata again blushed scarlet red. But. She stuttered while Sakura poked her forehead. Oh sheesh. Come on Hinata. Everyone knows of your crush on Naruto, and if you don't act soon, someone else is gonna claim him. For instance, Naruto saved that girl from Sound Team in the Forest of Death and she too has a thing for him, said Sakura while pointing at Kin, who Hinata noticed that she was occasionally stealing glances at Naruto while blushing. No way am I gonna lose Naruto-kun after all these years, she thought with desperation while a determined look bloomed on her face. Where is he, Sakura-san? She asked calmly while Sakura just grinned at her from ear to ear. Why, he's right behind you Hinata, she said while pointing behind her whereas Naruto was still spaced out about something. Hinata whipped her head lightning fast to see the same one she considered as a proctor. She could immediately feel blood rushing to her face at astounding rates and pinched her nose to prevent a possible blood loss, but the pressure was too great and was propelled back due to a huge nosebleed almost taking Sakura with her. She barely missed Sakura but was on a collision course with Sasuke, who was leaning against the wall with his eyes closed, trying to concentrate on his brooding. Wham! She collided with Sasuke, and accidentally elbowed him in the forbidden zone, leading to his eyes popping out of his sockets, slow motion. He threw some saliva and thankfully for Hinata cushioned her impact before he was immediately on his knees writhing in extreme pain, rolling around helplessly just to get rid of this torture. He couldn't say anything coherent but just roll on the ground with a pained expression on his face. He could almost see an image of a laughing Itachi hovering over his head while saying, I told you foolish little brother, you will always be weak. Sasuke-kun, yelled Sakura as she ran to help him, but had to stop herself from falling into fits of laughter while others didn't bother to restrain themselves. Ha 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 ha, oh man, he, this is great, he, the Uchiha's production raw materials busted, said Kankuro, who was laughing his off while Tamari too was trying to control herself and was barely succeeding at it. Meanwhile, Kiba unconsciously closed his thighs when he imagined the impact. Oh man, that must have hurt, he said with a pained expression as if imagining Sasuke's plight while Shino was, well Shino. Great shot, yelled Kin and Tamari simultaneously. They watched each other awkwardly before grinning to each other, followed by a thumbs up. Meanwhile Zaku just watched the Uchiha's condition with a proud smirk. That's what you get for messing with me Uchiha, he thought while everyone else, yeah, even Gaara, he too understands the pain of being hit there, could only express their thoughts in one word, ouch. Mother pities you Uchiha, thought the future Cage. Meanwhile, Naruto just got out of his thoughts to see a starry-eyed Hinata with a huge blush on her face and a rolling Sasuke on the floor with Sakura trying to help him. Seeing Hinata's blush and Sasuke's condition, he immediately understood what happened. I guess she noticed my changes, earlier she used to stutter in my presence but now, he thought with a sigh before walking up to Hinata. But he was extremely happy to see her. Last time he checked, she was being impaled by Itachi's blade. Oi Hinata-chan, are you alright? He asked with a concerned expression while her eyes slowly fluttered open to see Naruto bent in front of her. Naruto-kun. She stuttered before her world began to spin while Naruto too noticed her swaying. He sighed before putting his hand on her forehead and started to apply his chakra on her forehead. Immediately, she stopped swaying and noticed, just like Kin, the strange effects of his chakra. What are you doing, Naruto-kun? She asked with a blush, but noticed that she was not fainting this close to him, which was a miracle in itself. While Naruto's eyes hardened. I can't take it anymore, I have to ask her. It's now or never, he thought before nodding to himself inwardly. Hinata-chan, do you hate me like all the villagers? He asked with a frown while Hinata's eyes widened. Of course not, she said frantically. Then are you afraid of me? He asked with his piercing gaze while Hinata would have just lost herself in those beautiful blue orbs if not for the seriousness of the situation. Why are you asking me this, Naruto-kun? There's no way I'll be ever afraid of you, she said with a sad expression while all others watched this strange scene curiously. Then why do you stutter in front of me? Why faint? Why avoid me? If that's not fear, then what it is? What makes you different from the rest of villagers and shinobi populace then? If you like me, then why never approach me? He asked while her eyes widened in surprise. Naruto-kun, she trailed while avoiding his gaze. Eye contact, Hinata, he said firmly while she immediately jerked her head to look into his eyes which were usually bright were filled with loneliness and pain. I know you liked me right from the start, I know you followed me, I am not an idiot, Hinata. I know you secretly cheered for me in the academy, secretly prayed for me, but why didn't you ever approach me? Why didn't you try to at least be my friends when I was lonely, when I sat lonely by the swing? If I'm the one you like, shouldn't I be a source of comfort for you? Shouldn't you be comfortable around me? Shouldn't you be just yourself around me and forget all of your problems in the world? He said with an emotionless face. He refused to cry in front of everyone, but he had to know the answer. He was fed up of this game of cat and mouse while tears started to well up in Hinata's eyes at hearing the pain in his eyes. Meanwhile Kin, Sakura, Temari and Ino were also sad at hearing him, but Ino was hit the hardest among them by his pained confession. If only I wouldn't have behaved like Anne back then, for what it's worth. I'm sorry, Naruto, but I promise that I'll make it up for you, thought Ino while Shikamaru put a comforting hand on her. He too was a bit sad that he didn't approach Naruto again, although they were friends early in the academy, but eventually only him and Choji remained friends. Naruto looked up when he felt a hand on his shoulder to see Kiba standing there with a frown on his face. Naruto, I don't know what happened to you, buddy, he said while gesturing to Naruto's appearance, but you shouldn't create a scene here, before Naruto glared at him. Kiba, you don't have any idea what has happened in the past few days of my godforsaken life, but I'm in a foul mood and I want some now, he growled while Shino just remained passive, standing by the side of Kiba, ready to defend Hinata if something happens. Naruto, I understand that you were lonely, I at least had Akamaru by my side in times of trouble, but you have to understand that life for Hinata too was not easy. Her father, he trailed, not wanting to reveal anything more in front of the contestants while Naruto just sighed frustratingly. Hyouten. Hu Kekai. Hiro Dumu Ice Release. Ice Barrier. Ice Dome Prison, whispered Naruto after going through a couple of hand seals, both hands, and slammed them on the floor, the effects of which were an ice dome getting created around him and Team 8. Just as the dome was about to complete, he created a shadow clone outside it and signaled him to keep watch while the clone nodded at him. Team 8's eyes widened after seeing something which should be impossible for a genin. What did you? Trailed Kiba in amazement as he saw that they were completely surrounded by this igloo-like structure while Shino's eyebrows could be seen above his glasses. Hinata didn't say anything, but she was just as gobsmacked. However, a large part of her was still saddened by Naruto's claims. She knew what he said was true, but she too had her own reasons. Don't worry, this is completely harmless and also acts as a soundproof barrier. Now we can talk without caring about anyone, said Naruto before he again touched Hinata's forehead and started applying his chakra. Meanwhile, All the genins were astounded at what they had just witnessed except Gaara, who was grinning like a psychomaniac, and Sakura, who had already saw Naruto using ice manipulation. Sasuke too had an amazed look on his face, although he was still in pain from the blow. This power? Why don't I have this much strength? No matter how hard I train, why can't I get stronger? I feel like I'm getting nowhere. Naruto, how can you be so strong? You were supposed to be the dead last and I was the rookie of the year. I will get this power no matter what I have to do, he thought while clenching his fists and gritting his teeth. Sakura was looking at him with worry. She knew he would be overwhelmed at the display of Naruto's skill and was worried about Sasuke's reaction ever since the Forest of Death, and now her fears were coming true. Naruto, how strong are you really are? Just what the heck happened in the forest? Thought Team 10 while Neji had a frown on his face. Meanwhile Tenten and Lee had somewhat akin to admiration in their eyes. Yush! Naruto-kun's flames of youth shine brightly, Lee yelled before pumping his fist in air while all the genins except Team 9 flinched at his loud volume, Kabuto having a deep frown on his face. He could be a problem later in our plans. I have to report to Orochimaru-sama about this unexpected development, he thought while adjusting his glasses. That was so cool! Exclaimed Kin with shining stars in her eyes while Zaku and Dosu wanted to, but couldn't refuse her claim. It was indeed cool, they thought begrudgingly. No one touches this dome or disturbs boss right now, said the clone authoritatively while glaring especially at Sasuke. The others wanted to say something but sensing his foul mood didn't bother to. Ice Dome. Alright. About your father, I know everything as to how he treated you, he said to Hinata, whose eyes widened in shock. But how? She asked. It doesn't matter right now, you still haven't answered my questions, Hinata. I wouldn't have, killed you for just saying a word to me back then, said Naruto while Hinata bowed her head down, not wanting to tell about her insecurities, not wanting to look weak in front of him. But I may not get this opportunity in the future. Naruto-kun has taken the step now. I can't back down now. It's now or never, she thought before taking a deep breath while Kiba and Shino remained quiet. They knew how much Naruto meant to her. They were constantly trying to persuade her to talk to him. And now they dare not interrupt them. One failure after another. Every time I tried to stand, an even heavier weight was put on my shoulders, keeping me to the surface, she said while her bangs covered her eyes. Kiba's and Shino's eyes widened at how less she stuttered, even in front of Naruto, while Naruto just kept listening to her. After the death of my mother and my uncle, my father constantly put me under harsh training schedules. He never encouraged me for anything but rather spat on me for even smallest of mistakes. Gentle fist style of our clan just didn't suit me, but he never bothered to understand. It's unfair. From the day I was born, I was chosen to be the heiress, the word which I didn't even know the meaning of then. A heavy burden was put on me. Lots of expectations from me. The elders constantly looked down on me because they wanted a male heir. The style suited my sister, so she was proficient in it and constantly beat me in our spars and IW was forced in the shadow of my sister's light. Tears started falling from her eyes and onto her lap. Naruto's heart ached at seeing her in such condition, and although he knew about the way she was treated, he had to know how she felt about all of this. Hinata, whispered Kiba while clenching his fists, damn her clan. Constant harsh beatings, constant failures, constant cold looks and glares from my father, sister and my cousin degraded my self-confidence, self-esteem so much that I began to doubt if I could ever do anything right. In the Academy, I tried so many times to approach you, but every time I would see the disappointed face of my father, my insecurities holding me back, me having thoughts like, she bit her bottom lip to stop herself from crying, she couldn't break down in front of him. But when she felt a warm hand on her shoulder, she looked up to see Naruto smiling warmly at her while tears started flowing down his face, his warm and loving eyes urging her to let it all out. That pushed her over the cliff and she threw herself at him. Naruto was surprised as well as Kiba and Shino. It was a miracle that she hadn't fainted until then, but this. Hinata hugged Naruto tightly while she sobbed uncontrollably in his chest. He encircled his arms around her petite figure and held her to him. I was too afraid to approach you. I still am. What if YUD don't like me? What if YUTH think of me as a weak person just L like my father? I can't take your rejection, even thinking about it makes me want to cry. Besides you were always interested in Sakura-san, so that fact T2 pushed me back. I'm sorry Naruto-kun, but I'm just not confident like you. She stuttered in his chest while sobbing loudly whereas Naruto just rubbed her silky hair delicately. Kiba had tears in his eyes at seeing the condition of his sister-like figure and was clenching his fists at not being able to do anything for her, while you could see streams of tears below Shino's glasses, on his cheeks. Nay Hinata-chan, there's nothing wrong in crying. You can let it all out and no matter what happens, I would never consider you a weak person. A spark is all you need to awake the sleeping fire in you. I know you are a strong person, so whatever happens, he paused as he lifted her head by her chin and grinned his famous grin, don't ever give up. And remember that I would never leave you, he said while Hinata gave a small teary-eyed smile. Kiba had a smirk on his face while Shino had an almost unnoticeable smile on his face before they wiped their tears. Hinata wiped her tears and determination took birth in her eyes before she stood up and pointed her thumb at her Hitai-8, and I promise on my L-Leaf Hitai-8, that I would never leave your side Naruto-kun, she said while Naruto could see that she was desperately trying to stop her stuttering. He knew that her father had severely damaged her self-esteem, but he also knew that with time, her stuttering would stop. Yeah, don't worry Hinata, we too are with you. After all what are teammates for, right Shino? Said Kiba before patting Shino's back. Indeed, said the bug user with conviction. Thanks Kiba. Shino, she said with a small smile before Naruto put a hand on her shoulder at which she blushed, and he was a bit surprised that she didn't faint. Great Hinata-chan, you didn't faint, he said with a goofy smile leading to her blush getting deepened at the compliment as well as at the chan part while Kiba smacked his forehead. What an idiot, he muttered to himself. Now, seeing as you're my friends and comrades, I just wanted to tell you guys that the preliminaries would start in a couple of minutes, he said offhandedly while Kiba just blinked before bursting. What? He exclaimed while Hinata and Shino watched Naruto with confusion, albeit a blushing Hinata as she was still not used to this handsome Naruto. The reason will be explained by the proctors or by the Hokage himself, just wanted to tell you so that you can at least mentally prepare yourself, he said with his hands in his pockets. But we still haven't recovered from our forest voyage. This is unfair, yelled Kiba while Naruto frowned at his outburst. Tell me, did Kurenai-sensei ever told you that life of a shinobi is fair? Was it fair for Hinata-chan when her father made her fight her sister even when she was tired from your team missions and practice sessions? Was it fair for me when the academy teachers trailed Naruto before muttering, never mind, to himself while Kiba bowed his head? He knew that a shinobi's life was out of the boundaries of fair and unfair. It was the first line they read in their academy textbooks while Shino nodded with Naruto. Meanwhile Hinata had noticed Naruto's slip-up and decided to ask him later about it. Besides it was your fault that you came so late, but still you're not the only ones who arrived just now. Shikamaru's team and the sound team came just before you, he said while Kiba nodded a bit hesitantly. No problem, Akamaru and I can beat anybody here, said Kiba confidently while Naruto smirked at him. Watch it dog boy, pray that you don't have to fight me, said Naruto jokingly while Kiba laughed. Bring it on loser, said the Inuzuka before Naruto turned to Hinata. Do your best Hinata-chan. I don't care if you win or lose, just give it your all, said Naruto with a thumbs up while Hinata nodded with determination. I will not disappoint you, Naruto-kun, she thought before she remembered to ask him something which was on her mind since she saw him. But what happened to why your appearance, Naruto-kun? And how do you know elemental nature manipulation? She asked while Kiba and Shino too were curious about the answer. It's an S-rank secret. You have to ask the Hokage about it, he said like a car on an automatic transmission. He was getting tired of repeating that line after all. Oh please, do you think we're foolish? How can anything related to you be an S-rank secret? Said Kiba while Hinata frowned at him. Believe what you want to, but I'm not gonna tell you, said Naruto while glaring at Kiba before he blinked as the clone outside had dispelled itself and the memories of the Hokage, Junins and some people he hadn't seen before arriving via Shunshin in the arena came to him. Gigi has arrived. Alright guys, let's go and kick some genin, he said before forming the snake seal resulting in cracks beginning to form on the dome before it collapsed completely for them to see everyone's wide eyes except the Hokage. You could see the blushing faces of almost every female there, whether it be Genin, Chunin, Junin or a Kage i.e. Mei, Samui, Karui, Yugito, Hana, Yugao, Tamari, Kin and some other female Junins who Naruto didn't know. On the other hand, Naruto was fairly pleased to see the gobsmacked faces of the ones who had just arrived. He could see Kurenai smiling lovingly at him from behind the Hokage and that Psycho Proctor smiling seductively at him. Actually all the female were giving him those strange seductive looks making him extremely nervous and uncomfortable. He started scanning all of them, most of them he knew because of his pranks. Because of the Chunin exams, most of the Junins were deprived of any missions for the village's security and hence almost all of them were present except some few ones. Most of them I know. Holy shit, thought a blushing Naruto. Blood started to crawl to his face when he saw Hana and Yugao, both of whom were grinning at him. If two beautiful women like them would grin at you, well let's just say even Sasuke might melt. His blush deepened when he set his gaze on Mei, Samui and Yugito, especially Mei's flirtatious smile. His mind was getting into overdrive at the attention of this many beautiful women. He'd rather fight Orochimaru again than be in this position. Meanwhile Kiba was grinning lecherously when he noticed them while he wiped blood off his nose. Shino just stood impassively while Hinata was fidgeting nervously under the stares of possibly every Junin of the village. She hesitantly lifted her head to see Kurenai smiling proudly at them, lifting her confidence even more after her talk with Naruto. Meanwhile, the other Genins were staring between them and the Hokage, trying to decipher the situation. But most all, they were still astonished over the ice dome that Naruto had created. Sorry for the wait, we were discussing something private, away from prying ears, said a nervous Naruto apologetically, not sure what to say in this situation. Flashback outside the ice dome. Several minutes had passed after Naruto had created the dome, while the clone was still keeping watch for the proctors and was talking with Kin and Tamari about something. Ino wanted to join in the conversation but she knew now was not the time as it would just create a scene here. Sasuke was better than before, but that area was still sore for him while Sakura was concerned for him. That was awesome, Naruto-kun. You must have trained hard to control a rare element like ice like that, complimented Kin while the clone blushed and was grinning while rubbing of the back his head. Thanks I guess, he replied, but how can you do ice manipulation? Not even Junins are capable of such a feat. Do you have a bloodline? Asked Tamari skeptically while the clone gulped nervously. Why did boss leave me here? I'd rather be inside the dome than try to deflect these questions, he whined. Never mind that, you two don't know each other right? So let me introduce you. Kin-chan, this is Tamari and Tamari, this is Kin-chan, he introduced them while they greeted each other politely and shook hands with each other. Suddenly, several loud puffs were heard while the arena was filled with smoke and a booming voice reverberated from the smoke. Alright maggots, congratulations on passing the second exams. The smoke cleared for the Genins to see a brightly grinning Anko Mitarashi, behind whom were almost all the Junins of Konoha. You could see Kakashi reading his smut novel, a smoking Asuma, a cold-looking Kurenai justifying her title of Ice Queen, and Guy who was grinning like an idiot, Baki who was the Junin sensei of Gaara's team, the Sound Team sensei Orochimaru, and other Konoha Junins who hadn't taken any teams and specialized in other areas. But Anko's face, along with every newly arrived one's face, turned into that of surprise when they saw a human-sized ice structure in the middle of the arena with a blue-eyed, whisker-marked, white cape-wearing blonde standing on it. Every Junin except the Ice Queens had only one thought running through their minds: Yondaime. While the female Junins were blushing, but Anko quickly cut them off before anyone could say anything. Sensei, thought Kakashi in shock. What is this? As far as I know, there's no ice user in Konoha, and I fairly doubt any of you could do this, said Anko in a demanding tone while the clone raised his hand. Actually, I created this, he said with a grin leading to a pink tint on the female Junins including the Ice Queens, while Kakashi became a bit suspicious at hearing that voice before. He had heard that voice before, but it wasn't that of his sensei. Then his eyes widened in shock when he saw the whisker marks, resulting in him dropping his book. Naruto, he thought while getting surprised looks from his fellow Junins. As far as they knew, he had never dropped his book even at the most shocking facts. Are you kidding me, brat? There's no way in hell you could know chakra nature manipulation, let alone creating an element as rare as ice, said a Junin. What exactly did Rinnegan do for him? Thought the Ice Queens simultaneously with wide-eyed looks on their faces. They were already thrown for the loop when Kurenai told them that he knew nature manipulation for water and lightning element, but this was absolutely absurd. Even Sharingan didn't grant you that much. Hokage-sama will explain when he gets here, said the clone as he awkwardly used the term, sama. He was not used to this formality crap, but in front of so many Junins he had to be careful. Before anyone could say anything, Hiruzen, Mei along with her bodyguards and along with Yugito, V and his team arrived via Leaf, Water and Lightning Shunshin. They too sported similar reactions like the Junins, while Hiruzen too was surprised. He wasn't expecting Naruto to be able to use a sub-element so early even with the shadow clone training. Hiruzen was also a bit nervous of Naruto's reaction as Kurenai had told him, rather while smiling evilly, that Naruto knew about him keeping her away from him. Hokage-sama, would you kindly explain these people about how can I use ice manipulation and about my changes? I'm tired of saying the same thing over and over again, said the clone while glaring at Hiruzen while the newly arrived ones looked at him with amazement, except Hiruzen. Meanwhile, Yugito, Samui, Karui and Mei were blushing profusely before Mei quickly composed herself. What a handsome man, I think it would be fun to flirt with him, thought Mei with a smile. Now that's what you call cool, thought Samui while retaining her emotionless look. What a fine specimen, kidding, you have to claim him, purred Nibi in Yugito's head while sending mental images of Yugito and Naruto doing something which Jiraiya would be proud of. Shut up, Nibi, she thought while blushing furiously. Ah yes, Raikage Dono, Mizukage Dono, this is Uzumaki Naruto, said the Hokage gaining wide-eyed looks from everyone except the Genins and the Ice Queens. Most of the shinobi populace in the village didn't hate Naruto for what he carried, but still remained indifferent to him and held no grudges against him, but they were still surprised that this was the same shrimp prankmaster who wore a Kill Me orange jumpsuit. Naruto-kun, you really intrigue me to no end. It would be interesting to see what else has changed about you, thought Orochimaru while licking his lips like the snake freak he was. This is the dead last they were talking about, thought Mei, Karui and Samui simultaneously not believing their eyes. How can a genin capable of feat as rare as elemental manipulation and sub-element at that, be called a dead last? I know what all of you are thinking, but I will explain later in my office, so no questions for now. And Naruto, care to tell us why do you have this created here? Asked Hiruzen while pointing to the ice dome. Sorry for the disturbance, Hokage-sama, boss was just discussing something with Team 8 in privacy. I'll immediately inform him, said the clone, glancing at Kurenai, who was looking at him in confusion while he nodded at her assuringly before dispelling himself. Flashback end. Alright, we have wasted enough time. Anko, if you will, said Hiruzen while signaling Anko to go ahead before she nodded and stepped in front. Alright, I want all of you in columns of your respective teams in a minute, she said authoritatively before the genins quickly started forming lines adjacent to each other. Thank you, Anko. Now, first of all, I want to congratulate every one of you for passing the second part of Chunin exams, continued Hiruzen before introducing the genins to the Raikage and Mizukage. After that, he started giving his speech before explaining about the preliminaries leading to an uproar by some teams. He quickly explained about the excessive number of teams passing the second exam and about the third exam and blah blah blah, which Naruto didn't pay attention to. Now that I have explained everything, if the proctor for the preliminaries would please step ahead and explain the rules, said Hiruzen as Gecko Hayate stepped forward while typically chewing on his senbon. Alright, before I explain the rules, if anybody wants to back down he can do now or else there's no turning back, he said before Kabuto raised his hand according to the plan and was led outside of the arena while Naruto watched him suspiciously, also ignoring Sasuke, who had been constantly glaring at him for stealing the attention from him. When no one else raised their hands, he continued. The matches would be triple threats, i.e. 3 contestants would take part in each match and would be pitted against each other, he said before Tamari interrupted him. Hey, I thought the matches were supposed to be one-on-one battles, she complained while Gecko sighed. Being a Chunin doesn't mean you would always get one-on-one matches on the field. Sometimes you would have to handle more than one opponents during missions. But still, it doesn't mean you would be out of the preliminaries if you lose. Likewise, your win too doesn't guarantee a place in the finals. In a match, all the contestants can advance to the finals or none at all. It all depends on your skills. Hokage-sama, Mizukage-sama and Raikage-sama here would be the judge of that, he said while coughing before continuing. The match can be won by forfeit, or if your opponent is not able to fight or if your opponent is killed. Beware that if you advance to the finals, you'll most likely make Chunins as in the finals too, the judges would be same. There you most likely have to showcase your skills to the foreign merchants and nobles then. Now are there any questions? He said while none raised their hands. Except a few. All the genins were nervous, they had almost no experience in fighting multiple opponents while Naruto was a bit excited at the rules. I guess I can finally test my skills in these preliminaries, he thought with a smirk while clenching his fists in excitement. Sasuke too smirked idly at Naruto from behind. Just you wait, Dobi, I'll show you that I'm much better than you, he thought while Sakura had a determined look in her eyes along with Hinata. Alright, the names of contestants of who would be fighting the first match would flash on the screen while the rest of you, with your Junin sensei, will go upwards on railing. Also the names would be chosen completely at random, so you may have to fight your own teammate. So prepare yourself for just about anything, explained Hayate before the names started flashing on the screen at random. Hyuga Neji vs Akamichi Chouji vs Inazuka Kiba. The names flashed on the screen one by one, leading to a smirking Neji, a whining Chouji, an excited Kiba, but at the same time frustrated a bit because he was still tired from the second exam. Meanwhile, all the other genins went upstairs with their respective senseis. Kakashi was still looking at Naruto gobsmacked, wondering just what the hell happened in the forest. When they reached upstairs, he put his hand on Naruto's shoulder, who turned towards him. Naruto, what happened? He asked in a barely audible whisper before glancing at Sakura, who was shaking her head in denial that she didn't know anything while Naruto just pinched the bridge of his nose in frustration. Why can't everybody stop asking questions just for once? Kakashi-sensei, the only thing that I can tell you now is that Orochimaru attacked us in the forest, he said while glancing towards Sasuke before Kakashi's eyes widened in surprise. Orochimaru, what could he want from his team? Then he followed Naruto's gaze towards Sasuke and sighed. Of course, he should have known, the Sharingan. I have no idea how you guys survived, but I'm glad you did. Also, I suppose Sasuke has a curse mark, whispered Kakashi while Naruto nodded at him. Listen, sensei, I know you have a lot of questions. But I'm tired and want nothing more than for this day to end. I know you helped me a lot in my Yuki control training, but please understand me. Gigi will explain everything to you when the time comes, but for now can you please drop these topic? I'm gonna showcase some abilities that'll leave you dry for answers, but can you just swallow everything today, sensei? He said in a pleading tone. He was emotionally and mentally drained. These past few days were like a roller coaster ride from him. He himself needed some time to think while Kakashi nodded in understanding. He could see that his student was emotionally a raging maelstrom right now and needed some time to get used to this. He would give him some space for now, but was eager as to what abilities he was talking about. Alright, are you three ready? Asked Hayate while Neji nodded, activating his Byakugan while settling into his gentle fist form. Choji too nodded, albeit a lot hesitantly while Kiba immediately ate a food pill to restore his chakra. Meanwhile Raikage grinned in anticipation of the battle. It's been a while since I've seen a Hyuga, Akamichi and a Inuzuka in action. This should be good, he said while Mei nodded with him. You ready, Akamaru? He asked his partner who barked with him before he nodded with the proctor. Hayate raised his hand before yelling, Hajime, and jumped out of the center to the side. I'm warning you guys, you should just give up or suffer a shameful defeat by my hands, said Neji Aili while Kiba growled at him and Choji became even more nervous. I'm not one to go down without a fight, no matter what I'll just give my best, he said before crouching on all fours while Choji too became determined at Kiba's declaration and nodded with him. Kiba and Choji looked towards each other before nodding while Neji narrowed his eyes at them. Immediately Kiba dashed towards Neji at a higher speed than a genin should possess. Neji was startled by his speed and agility, but that was to be expected of an Inuzuka, and besides he was used to sparring with Lee who possessed much greater speed than Kiba. Kiba went for a midsection palm thrust as Neji avoided it with grace before going for a palm strike towards Kiba's shoulder but became unsettled by his smirk. He's planning something, thought Neji before his eyes widened when he heard Choji yell. Buban Baika no Jutsu, partial multi-size technique. Shit, I forgot the fat one. That ingrate, he hid himself behind the Inuzuka deliberately so his chakra network was hidden from me behind the Inuzukas. These losers just might be a bit of challenge for me after all, he thought before using a chakra-enhanced jump to dodge the rolling Choji who was now like an air balloon and was coming at him at high speeds. Upon missing him, Choji just collided with the wall, his enlarged body getting stuck in the crater. Neji, using his chakra on his feet, was standing on the ceiling right now before he saw the Inuzuka and his dog coming at him with his Byakugan, rotating at high speeds. Gatsuga, dual piercing fang, yelled Kiba, having creating the man-beast clone before initiating his attack when Neji was in midair. They're both targeting me, I've to get rid of one of them quickly, thought Neji while barely avoiding Kiba's attack before rushing towards Choji, who was still dazed from the impact and was now in his normal size to escape the crater. Upon reaching him, Neji unleashed a flurry of palm strikes, not targeting any vital organs but doing enough damage that he would be out of the match. Choji grunted in pain. He felt like 1,000 needles had pierced his body and that he didn't have any chakra left before falling to his knees and fell face first on the floor. Kiba and his clone Akamaru skidded to a halt from their attack before glaring at Neji who was smirking at him. That bastard, he used that opening to get rid of Choji. I don't think I can go on anymore. I'm very tired and that last Gatsuga took everything out of me, he thought before noticing Neji bending into a strange stance. Meanwhile, one of the Kibas fell on his knees due to exhaustion while panting. They both have the same amount of chakra flowing through their networks, but the standing one must be the real Inuzuka, thought Neji before smirking. This match was now over. I have no intention of prolonging this match any further. You're in the field of my divination, said Neji seriously while Tenten's eyes widened. He's using that attack already, she exclaimed in surprise while Guy sighed at Neji, sometimes he was too stubborn and arrogant for his own good. They had already discussed that they wouldn't showcase their main attacks before the finals, but apparently Neji deemed it fit ignore them. Hake Rokujuyansho, 8 divination signs, 64 palms, he yelled before dashing towards Kiba at amazing speeds and started delivering flurry of palm strikes with accuracy. The strikes were blurred to the genins while everyone including Hinata was surprised that he could use such a technique at such a young age. 32 palms, he said in continuation with his attack after delivering the 2, 4, 8 and 16 strikes, but before he could finish the last set of 32 strikes, he was given a shattering punch to the side of his head, courtesy of the clone or was it Kiba, before Neji was sent flying back before colliding with the wall resulting in him spitting some blood. Everyone saw a panting Kiba standing where Neji was a moment ago while the one who was attacked poofed back to show a critically injured Akamaru. Akamaru! Yelled Kiba while bending down to check on it. Akamaru's breathing was labored and Kiba instantly knew that a vital organ of its body was struck during the attack. Proctor! Call for medics, my partner's injured, he yelled while checking for Akamaru's pulse. Sorry kid, as per the rules, since you both are treated as one contestant, so getting medical attention even for the dog means that you two forfeit the match. So either you have to forfeit the match or continue fighting and wait for the match to end, said Hayate apologetically. What? That's ridiculous, exclaimed an infuriated Kiba. So what will you do Inuzuka? Kiba turned his head to see Neji standing there while wiping the blood off his mouth and growled at him before turning to a whimpering Akamaru. Shit. Guess this is it, he thought before nodding towards Hayate. Alright, I forfeit the match, just call for the medics quickly, said Kiba with frustration while Neji scoffed at him. Coward, why don't you just say you can't win against me? After all, once a loser, always a loser, said Neji before glancing at Hinata to make his point clear while Naruto glared at him. Winner. Hyuga Neji, he said while medics came and carried Akamaru and Choji on a stretcher. That Hyuga is really getting on my nerves right now, he thought while clenching the metal support of the railing, almost breaking it. Naruto was also satisfied with Kiba's decision to save Akamaru. After the talk with Naruto, Hinata was a bit more confident and was angry at Neji. She could tolerate him insulting her, but to openly insult her teammate wasn't something she was going to just choke down. It was time that she grew a backbone and reply him back. I'll show you Neji-ni-san that I'm not as weak as you think, she thought while clenching her fists before Kurenai put a comforting hand on her shoulder. Although the Hyuga is a genius when it comes to fighting, but he needs some attitude adjustment. Don't you agree Hokage-sama? Asked a while Hiruzen nodded with him before muttering about, all Hyugas needing attitude adjustment. Let's give Choji a barbecue treat shall we? That's the first time I've seen him fight seriously, said a smoking Asuma while Ino and Shikamaru nodded with him. Man this is so troublesome, now I too have to give my best, muttered Shikamaru lazily before Ino hit him on the head. Geez, you're such a lazy, can't you show determination once in a while for something, like Naruto, she said before immediately clamping her mouth with her hand and began to blush in embarrassment. Shikamaru and Asuma smirked at her from the corner of their eyes before Ino yanked Shikamaru with his collar. If you tell anyone about this, I swear I'll tell your mother about how you skipped classes during the academy, she said threateningly while Shikamaru paled at the mention of his mother and nodded fervently with her whereas Asuma just chuckled at their antics. That dog boy's such a loser. Just for his mutt, he forfeited the match, said Sasuke while shaking his head before Sakura frowned at him and Naruto glared at him. Kakashi put his hand on Naruto's shoulder to prevent him from starting a brawl right there. I'm proud of you Kiba. Ka-san would be happy that you put Akamaru before your own interests, thought Hana with a smile while Hinata gave Kiba her healing ointment. Alright, the names of the contestants of the second match will flash on the screen now, said Hayate before again names of the contestants flashed on the screen for everyone to see. Sabaku no Kan Kuro vs Abumi Zaku vs Hyuga Hinata. Sabaku no Kan Kuro versus Abumi Zaku versus Hyuga Hinata. Hinata narrowed her eyes while clenching her fists. This was it. There was no going back. She would prove herself to Naruto, to her sensei, to her father, sister and cousin and everyone else who thought that she could never amount to anything. For you Naruto-kun, I will do this. I will not let your faith in me waver even a bit, she thought before flipping over the railing and landing graciously on the floor, much to the surprise of everyone who knew her except Naruto. Kurenai was surprised to see the fire in her eyes. Those were the eyes of a true kunoichi, radiating confidence and wanting to prove herself, her existence. Meanwhile Neji was glaring at Hinata's back with hate. Whoa, is that really our Hinata? Asked an astonished Kiba while Shino just adjusted his glasses. He too was surprised by her body language. They were expecting her to timidly twiddle her fingers and slowly walk down the stairs with nervous steps, although they knew her confidence was boosted by Naruto, but this was still something they weren't used to. Meanwhile Kurenai was looking at Naruto in confusion and admiration in her eyes. He just possibly achieved what she had been trying to do for some years now. Just what did he do in that dome? Although she knew that Hinata was probably doing this in the heat of the moment, but still even that was impossible before. She knew Hinata had hidden talent, suppressed by her father and her clan, and confidence was the only thing she needed to become an accomplished kunoichi. Zaku landed on the floor and smirked maliciously at Hinata. Why bitch, aren't you Hyuga? He asked with a sneer while Kankuro too landed on the floor with a smirk. Why don't you forfeit girl? This tournament is for guys like us, not for some weak Hyuga heiress, he said while keeping his smirk on his painted face, wanting to unsettle her determination. He knew hit a spot with that last comment. He knew about her status as they were made to know about major clans of Konoha in detail for their Konoha invasion plan. Hinata narrowed her eyes at him while activating her Byakugan, glaring at him at the comment, which only succeeded in stealing her determination before slipping into the gentle fist stance. Your loss bitch, but don't say that I didn't warn you, said Zaku while shrugging before Kankuro spoke. Hey pal, what do you say we team up and beat up the Hyuga? Said Kankuro intimidately while Zaku nodded with a malevolent smile, whereas Hinata just ignored them. Meanwhile Mei frowned at what they were planning to do. Now inwardly she wanted nothing more than for the Hyuga girl to beat their. How dare they underestimate the power of a kunoichi, a determined one at that. Hey, that's not fair. Those guys are teaming against Hinata, said an angry Sakura while Naruto was watching them calmly, which surprised Kakashi to no end, as he was expecting Naruto to burst instead of Sakura. If she can't beat those two pathetic genins, then she doesn't deserve to be a kunoichi, said Sasuke with his patented scowl while Naruto and Sakura just ignored him. They're trying to intimidate Hinata into forfeiting the match so that they don't have to face any extra competition. The Hyuga clan is renowned throughout the world for their gentle fist, so naturally they don't want to face her, as even one blow from her would disrupt their flow of chakra, making them almost defenseless. I'd say they're actually scared from her, said Naruto with an amused smirk while Kakashi's lone eye widened to that of Saucer's. Was this really Naruto? The loud, unpredictable knucklehead ninja who takes actions first before thinking? Well, he was justifying the unpredictable part. Sakura nodded with him, whereas Sasuke, HN'd, in response. Hey clown, are you scared of her? Yelled Naruto out of nowhere before a tick mark grew on Kankuro's forehead, who yelled back. It's war paint. While Samui and Karui just sweat dropped. That's one weird genin, both thought simultaneously as they stared at Kankuro in exasperation. Ooh, sorry man. Didn't know clowns fought wars, said Naruto with a goofy grin while almost everyone chuckled at that comment. Sakura couldn't hold it in and burst out laughing while slowly others joined in too. Kakashi was just chuckling to himself while Guy was shouting about Naruto's flames of youth shining brightly. Kankuro gave a dirty look towards Hayate, who was chuckling to himself while holding his senbon, well, so that he doesn't swallow it accidentally. What? The kid has a point, you know, he said while chuckling. Whereas Mei was smiling amusingly at Naruto while Samui had a smirk on her face, typically thinking that it was a cool comment while Omoi was confused if he should on his lollipop anxiously or laugh, resulting in him laughing anxiously while ing on his lollipop, which was a strange and a hilarious scene to say the least. Yugito had a blush on her face, mainly due to the commentary of her crazed Biju while Hiruzen was chuckling to himself, shaking his head at Naruto antics. No matter how much he changed, he'll always be a prank master of the leaf capable of lighting the moods even in the most serious situations. Anko had an excited grin on her face while she was eyeing Naruto with a seductive look, whereas the rest of the Ice Queens watched Naruto with a dreamy sigh. Naruto saw Anko out of the corner of his eyes and shuddered at that look, but at the same time blushed at seeing her pretty face, that he had to admit, before turning his head to the other side to hide his blush. Ooh, shying away from me, Naruto-kun. I wouldn't leave you that easily, thought a grinning Anko while Tamari was laughing at Kankuro. Now she got something new to tease her brother. Meanwhile, Naruto's sudden outburst seemed to calm Hinata's nerves as she smiled innocently at Kankuro, who was grumbling to himself incoherently while Zaku too couldn't stop a snort of laughter escaping his mouth. Alright, that's enough. Are you guys ready? Said Hayate, still chuckling lightly to himself while the three of them nodded, whereas the atmosphere immediately became tense as the match was about to start. Hajime. To almost everyone's surprise, Hinata was the one who dashed towards Zaku, chakra flaming her palms as she prepared for a palm thrust midway. Meanwhile, Kankuro had jumped back from the two as he was a long-range fighter and began waiting for the right opportunity to strike. Meanwhile, Zaku put his right palm forward, facing in the direction of Hinata, all the while smirking to himself. Zenkuaha, decapitating air waves, he yelled before releasing a concentrated pulse of supersonic sound wave invisible to eye while Hinata's eyes widened when she saw a mass of high-intensity chakra come towards her at high speed. She immediately jumped high in the air with her momentum, using chakra on her feet and planted herself on the ceiling. Scanning her two opponents, her eyes widened when she saw that Kankuro had no chakra network but that something had a chakra network which was wrapped on his back. How is this possible? Wait, does that mean the real one is hiding in those wrappings, but how is he controlling chakra threads? So he's a puppet user, thought Hinata while a deep frown was etched on her face when she realized that she was at a serious disadvantage as both of her opponents were long-range fighters. I have to take care of the sound one first and engage him in taijutsu. That previous attack was deadly, she thought before landing on the floor. Giving up Hyuga, said Zaku idly while Hinata just ignored him and made a sprint towards him again. Zaku used the same attack again, whereas this time she dodged it sidewards. At least that's what she wanted to do when she suddenly found herself constricted by something and couldn't move out of the way before the attack hit her full force, leading to her flying back before skidding to a halt on the floor. Naruto gripped the metal railing tighter while gritting his teeth, but he had to believe in Hinata. He had faith in her abilities and couldn't give up on her yet. Kurenai was livid at the shameful display of cornering a kunoichi, but the only thing she could do now was have faith in her student. She had never seen those eyes in Hinata, she wouldn't let her hopes dwindle so soon. But even she knew that being hit dead on by an attack like that must have severely injured her. Hinata was tired from the second part of the exams and was already low on chakra. Meanwhile, Mei, Yugito, Samui, Karui, the other ice queens and almost all the female junins frowned at Kankuro, but they knew that it was a part of being a kunoichi and were secretly cheering for Hinata to win the match and show those bastards what a real kunoichi is. Hinata sat on her knees before blood started to leak out of her ears while she coughed some blood. Her whole world was spinning, which she deduced that it was because of her body equilibrium was disturbed. Meanwhile, Lee looked at Hinata sadly. He knew it was over for her now. He had first-hand experience that attack and knew that there was no chance for her to fight now, even walk properly for at least 2 to 3 hours. Kankuro had chakra strings attached to his puppet Karasu Crow, which had held Hinata in her place when she tried to dodge, whereas the attack didn't affect his puppet at all, although he was a bit sad at doing this, but he had to progress to the finals for their plan and couldn't take any chances while fighting a Hyuga, whether it be male or female. Give up, girl. You don't stand a chance now, spat Zaku as he approached her slowly until he was a few feet away from her. Meanwhile, Hinata stood shakily on her wobbly feet before coughing up some more blood. No way. IW wouldn't give you up. Ever, she said while panting heavily while Zaku just backhanded her as she again fell to the ground. Fine you. I was giving you a chance to get out the easy way, but I guess I'll do it the hard way. I've been itching to try out a new attack anyway, said Zaku with a predatory smirk as he pointed both of his palms at Hinata, only inches away from her face. This will take you out for at least a month, maybe a coma or worst, you'll just die, he said with a dark expression on his face. Hinata, quit it already, you're in no condition to fight. It's not worth to risk your career, bursted Naruto as he finally had watched enough and knew that Hinata was in a bad condition right now. Meanwhile, Hinata couldn't hear anything except the loud ringing in her ears due to the previous attack. The only thing she could do was read lips with her Byakugan and only understood when Zaku told her to give up. Because of the backhand slap, she didn't hear anything further, not even Zaku's. Her eyes widened when she noticed both of his palms just inches away from her face and saw the vibrating form of his palms as well as the high amount of chakra in the attack. She knew if hit by this one, she wouldn't survive. She could almost see death coming in her face in the form of high-frequency supersonic vibrations from the hole in his palms. Zenkyokukuaha, extreme decapitating air waves. She couldn't hear him, she couldn't hear shouts of Kurenai and Naruto, she couldn't hear anything. The only thing she could see was the chakra form of extremely dense sound waves coming towards her in slow motion, as if mocking her. Telling her that no matter what she does, she would never improve, she would never be able to escape them, that she was weak and was better off if wiped from the face of planet. She could almost see the disappointed face of her father, the sneers of the elders of her clan, the arrogant smirk of her cousin and sister in those invisible waves, but her mind and heart went into overdrive when she saw the grinning face of the one she loves the most. She could almost subconsciously hear him. Never give up, Hinata-chan. No matter what happens, no matters how many odds are stacked against you, no matter how many people think you are weak, believe in yourself, have faith in yourself. March forward, pursue your dreams, pierce through your enemies, says a grinning Naruto while giving her a thumbs up, determination shining in his magical sapphire blue eyes. She closed her eyes as the waves of death drew near. She could feel something warm, something she had never felt before emanating from the pit of her stomach and expanding all over her chakra coils. Thank you, Naruto-kun. I love you so much. I would never give up. I'll keep trying till the end and in the afterlife too if I have to, she thought as the warm and comfortable feeling in her stomach grew, but when she felt that same warm burning feeling reach her eyes, she snapped her eyes open, which were now a shade of glowing blue in the middle. The world zoomed out as everything became even more slower while she welcomed this comfortable warm embrace before everything came back to normal. Naruto didn't know what was going on, he was screaming for her to forfeit the match. It was like she couldn't listen to him, which he deduced that it must have had to do something to with the sound attack. He shouted in despair before jumping over the railing and dashed towards her with high speeds. He didn't know when he had activated the Rinnegan but was surprised to see a huge amount of chakra expanding all over Hinata's chakra coils, and when the chakra reached her eyes. Boom! There was a short impulse of chakra blast which almost made him fly backwards, but he braced himself before landing on the floor and consciously deactivated his dujutsu as he didn't want to reveal it before his fight. Everyone's eyes along with his widened when he saw a silver glowing figure of Hinata along with her long hair, her angelic glowing hair swiveling with the wind created by the blast. The silver glow slowly died down for them to see Hinata standing there with her eyes closed, but one significant difference about her appearance was her long hair, just like in Shippuden, but with the addition of bangs on either side of her face. Hinata-chan, stuttered Naruto as he called for her. He had no idea what was going on here, but he was worried sick for her. Meanwhile, Zaku was sent flying back because of the blast, but he flipped in midair and landed away from Kankuro and Hinata. Hinata was enjoying and taking comfort in this strange warmth when she heard one voice which was deeply imprinted in her heart. She slowly opened her eyes and gasped along with everyone else who could see her eyes. Hinata was completely astonished and mortified at what she was seeing. The level of detail of everything she could see didn't ever seem possible to her. Her vision had drastically improved. She could see chakra pathways and tenketsu, chakra points, in a much greater detail than before. Some chakra points which earlier were not visible to her were not as clear as a day. Her range of vision had improved by leaps and bounds as she could almost scan most of the forest of death, also noting the fact that the supposed blind spot of the Byakugan wasn't there and that she could perfectly see through the complete angle, i.e. 360 degrees. She also felt completely rejuvenated, almost like she never had went through the second exam, also noticing the fact that she now possessed longer hair than before, well, much longer. She turned her head to see Naruto standing a few meters away from looking at her with a surprised expression and a small blush adorning his cheeks. She gasped for the second time when she noticed the white chakra with a mixture of small amount of red chakra flowing through his coils. His chakra coils have expanded drastically since the last time I checked his pathways, she thought, amazed at the level of detail she was able to see his chakra network through. She also noticed a strange seal on his stomach and stored the question for later. She had a match to win. Why your eyes? He again stuttered in shock. Hinata would have laughed if not for the situation. He was acting just like her. What about my eyes? She asked while cutely tilting her head. Meanwhile, Naruto was awestruck as well as mesmerized at the beauty of her eyes. They were still of lavender color, but as you progressed towards the center of her eyes, the shade changes to that of sky blue. Surrounding her seemingly sky blue pupil was one small dark pink flower petal adorning her eyes, just like Sharingan's one Tomo's, while her long hair along with her bangs made her incredibly cute. He put the palm of one hand on the other, putting wind nature chakra in one and water natured in another to create a plain ice plate before closing the distance between him and Hinata and handed her the plate. Her breathing hitched when she saw the reflection of her eyes. Beautiful, was the only thing she could think before realizing the situation. But what happened to my eyes? She asked worriedly while glancing towards Naruto, who strangely was smiling with pure glee. Isn't it obvious, you idiot? Your Byakugan has evolved, Dadbeo, he said before grinning in excitement while Hinata's lips slowly curved upwards before it turned into a full-blown smile of pure joy. Really? She asked, barely able to contain her excitement while he nodded vigorously. She squealed before jumping at him and hugged him tightly while he accepted it gladly. But, I've never heard of a second level of Byakugan, she asked in confusion, both not noticing the fact that she was barely stuttering now. See, I always told you that you were special, Hinata-chan, he said while swiftly moving his hands through her long hair whereas she snuggled into his chest. Ahem, they both immediately separated, blushing furiously, and noticed a wide-eyed Hayate staring at Hinata in bewilderment. Actually, when Naruto scanned his surroundings, he noticed that everyone had their eyes the size of saucers, mouths open like they were trying to say something, but nothing came out. Hinata blushed in embarrassment when she noticed all the stares directed at her. Even Orochimaru, who was acting as a sound team Junin-sensei, couldn't believe his eyes. Second level of Byakugan? You've gotta be kidding me. Kurenai had tried several times to dispel a possible genjutsu, not believing her eyes. Nobody had an idea what was going on. The Byakugan wasn't supposed to have an upgrade, it was just like a stock product with nothing to add. Hiruzen and A were rendered speechless, first by the fact that today something happened that wasn't ever heard of, and second by the fact that how casually Naruto and Hinata were acting about this. But Hiruzen, the Ice Queens, and Naruto weren't surprised that much. A few days ago even Rinnegan wasn't supposed to exist. Meanwhile Kurenai had an evil grin on her face. Oh, she couldn't wait to throw this at that bastard Hiashi. The supposed weak heir has reached a level of Byakugan which possibly hasn't ever been achieved in the Hyuga clan, ha 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 ha. She could already imagine the stone-faced, arrogant-laced and the almighty unfazed leader of the Hyuga clan bowing before her and his daughter. He. Sorry, you have a match to win, right? Asked Naruto sheepishly while rubbing the back of his head, whereas Hinata nodded with a smile. Alright. I guess we should continue the match. You guys ready? Asked Hayate while Hinata nodded with a predatory smirk, whereas Zaku and Kakuro were not feeling so confident right now but nodded a bit hesitantly. Zaku was already tired because of using a high amount of chakra in that last attack, whereas Kakuro brought back his puppet in front of him. You're an idiot, Dosu, using so much chakra in one attack. Even if you would have taken out the girl, you still wouldn't have been able to fight the puppet user, thought Dosu while shaking his head. Alright, continue, said Hayate while signaling them to start the match again. Don't think that just because of your bloodline you can match up against me, said Zaku, still trying to intimidate her while Hinata took out several shuriken out of her pouch before throwing them at Zaku, who easily dodged the shuriken by jumping in the air using chakra. While in air, he put his palm towards where Hinata was standing, or where she should have been standing. His eyes widened when he heard a soft voice behind him. Looking for me? Whispered Hinata, her upgraded Byakugan still active before delivering a fast and accurate finger strike to a specific spot behind on his back neck. How did she get so fast? Were Zaku's last thoughts before slipping into unconsciousness while Hinata grabbed him in midair. She landed near Hayate before putting him on the floor. He would be out of it for a while, Proctor. I suggest you call for medics, she said, all the while keeping her eyes fixed on Kankuro while Gecko just blinked, having a stupefied expression on his face. How the heck did she do that? That was the question on everybody's minds, especially Neji. That's impossible. Her chakra strike completely missed the chakra point on his neck, I'm sure of it. Then how did he get unconscious? Could it be that her new Byakugan can see chakra points invisible to the simple Byakugan? But even if she did strike any hidden chakra point, it shouldn't be possible for that sound genin to just slip into unconsciousness from one strike only. This is absolutely absurd. Not even most professional users of Gentle Fist are capable of such feat, not even Hiyashi-sama. And her speed, how did it suddenly increase so much? What's going on here? Thought Neji while glaring at Hinata, a glare full of hate. He was pissed that her weak cousin suddenly became so strong, that the main family had again outdone him. Hiruzen, Ao, Mei and A were having thoughts along the same line. All of the experienced Junins were gobsmacked after witnessing her delicate attack. They had never seen any Byakugan user do that. Naruto on the other hand was just happy and at the same time excited about her Dujutsu. He couldn't wait to explore more abilities of this unknown Byakugan. He wasn't surprised that much by her attack. He had already heard and seen things in the past several days that threw logic out of the window. He was just content in knowing that Hinata was finally standing up for herself and kicking some. The medics had immediately came after Hayate's call and had taken Zaku from the arena. Alright, you can continue now, said Hayate, eager to know more about this newly discovered Dujutsu, while everyone was on edge, anticipation shining in their eyes. Except for Kankuro, who was a nervous wreck by now. Meanwhile all the kunoichi in the arena had evil grin plastered on their faces. Payback's a bitch, makeup boy, thought all the kunoichis under the tag of women power. Although Hinata, for the first time in her life, was enjoying a fight, she wanted to end this fight quickly as this new Dujutsu was draining her chakra at a fast rate. Kankuro, using his puppet Karasu, threw several poisoned needles out of its mouth at Hinata, and yet again she was amazed at the level of detail at which she could see the attack coming at her. She could see everything, as if the world was revolving around her in slow motion. She could see the poison drops at the tip of the needles, she could even count the number of needles he threw at her, each and every needle coming at her way, something which shouldn't be possible even for the Sharingan. Easily dodging the needles in a mixture of high speed and fluid movements, her hair flowing with her in melody. Almost all the shinobi out there blushed lightly at seeing her, Even some of Kunoichi had to fight off the heat rising on their cheeks. Meanwhile, Gaara was starting to become more and more psycho at each passing moment, all the while grinning like a maniac. Kankuro was astonished. The girl just dodged his needles like they were nothing. Those needles are so sharp that even seeing them coming your way is difficult, let alone dodge them. They were even more accurate than Senbon. Those needles were designed by Sasori of the Red Sand when he was in the village after all. Quickly taking out a smoke bomb from her shuriken pouch, she threw it at the floor just in front of her before being completely enveloped by the smoke. Smoke screen? What could she be planning right now? Thought Kankuro anxiously, waiting for her move, his fingers itching to command his puppet. Suddenly Hinata came out of the smoke dashing towards Kankuro at high speed, who immediately again threw poisoned needles at her from the puppet's mouth in both of its hands, wanting to disrupt her momentum. He was surprised when all the needles just passed through Hinata like she wasn't there. What the? How did she abunchen? Realized Kankuro, but a bit too late as Hinata landed in front of him out of nowhere before delivery extremely fast and accurate palm thrusts to his upper body, almost rendering him out of chakra. Kankuro was in a whole world of pain right then. He felt as if he was stabbed by his own needles. He couldn't almost feel any chakra and was feeling tired like was fighting for hours now, his rasped breathing indicating a possible damage to his lungs. She had made a bunchen in the smoke and jumped at that time so that I was distracted by the clone illusion and couldn't see her coming from above. Yes, I lost, he thought before falling to his knees. That was for calling me a weak heir, said Hinata with an angry look in her eyes before Kankuro slipped into unconsciousness and fell face first on the floor. Sensei? Asked a shocked Sakura as she had never seen this side of Hinata before, while Kakashi looked towards her to indicate he was listening. Earlier when that sound Genin fainted, how did Hinata do that? It shouldn't be possible with a touch of only, unless she's a medic and quite a legendary one at that, like Tsunade-sama, she asked curiously while Naruto too waited for an answer. Well, from my guess, she hit a specific chakra point on the back of his neck which should be out of Byakugan's reach. The main family of the Hyuga clan are taught the basics of anatomy of the human body at an early age so that they at least know about the important chakra points and each of their functions in regulating chakra flow in specific organs. However, not all chakra points are visible to the Byakugan, hence only a few in Hyuga clan who are masters of the gentle fist can hit these kind of hidden chakra points, and that too by thoroughly memorizing the location of these chakra points, which is attained through intense studies in medical ninjutsu. So what Hinata did should be practically impossible for her. It could have been a fluke, or it could be that this new Byakugan can see those hidden chakra points. If the latter is true, this could be a great breakthrough in the field of gentle fist as well as medical science, explained Kakashi in his lecture mode while Sakura's and Naruto's eyes widened. Winner. Hyuga Hinata, announced Hayate after checking Kankuro's pulse. Almost all the Junins began clapping for Hinata, especially the female populace in the arena, some of whom were hooting without any care in the world. You could see the shining smiles and grins of Mei, Yugito, Samui, a shining smirk, Karui, Kuranai, Anko, who was thinking of training Hinata in the ways of torture and interrogation, Hana, Yugao, Tamari, who was happy that her idiotic brother was brought down a peg but at the same time concerned for him, Kin, mainly because she didn't like males in general except Naruto, Sakura, Ino, and every female there you could find. Orochimaru was licking his lips like the snake he was, excited at the prospect of probably finding another suitable body. Hinata blushed in embarrassment, bowed timidly in front of the Hokage, Raikage and Mizukage before rushing to her spot on the upper railing platform. Kuranai immediately crushed Hinata in a hug upon her arrival. She was beyond happy for Hinata. Hinata-chan, congratulations. You did great, she said, releasing her from the hug before giving her a bright smile. She had always considered Hinata as her little sister and deeply cared for her. Also, she couldn't help but marvel at the beauty of her eyes as the new Byakugan was still active, which today had broken the boundaries of their dujutsu. Thank you Kuranai-sensei, she said while blushing in embarrassment before she saw Naruto approaching her and was immediately on her toes. What would Naruto-kun say? She thought a bit nervously while twiddling her index fingers cutely, while her heart was pounding her chest. Hinata-chan. That was awesome, the way you kicked the clowness was great. I'm really. He paused while his breathing hitched in throat when he noticed her eyes. He wasn't able to see them properly due to the distance before, but seeing them up close was something else. He had never seen such eyes, the amazing shades of lavender and sky blue made them angelic and beautiful. Hinata-chan, your eyes are beautiful, he said breathlessly while Hinata blushed furiously at the compliment. Nay, don't you agree with me Kurenai-sensei? He said dramatically, pushing the sensei before winking at her, which went unnoticed by Hinata, who was in her own Naruto-kun la 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 dreamlands. Oh, of course Naruto-kun, said a blushing Kurenai before clamping her mouth when kun accidentally slipped her tongue. She breathed a sigh of relief when she noticed that Hinata wasn't paying attention and had a far-away look in her eyes. Naruto turned to Hinata when he noticed something which made his eyes widen in surprise. There's only one petal in each eye, just like the tomos of Sharingan when it is activated the first time. Could it be that there are more levels to this Byakugan just like the Rinnegan and Sharingan? And the veins around her eyes no longer noticeable too, he thought before leaning towards Kurenai, who again blushed at their closeness. Kurenai-chan? He asked, opting to use chan, as Hinata still wasn't out of it while Kurenai's blush got darker in shade. He brought his mouth near her ear before whispering at what he just found about Hinata's newfound eyes. Meanwhile Kurenai could feel the familiar heat rising between her thighs as his hot breath tickled her skin, before she nodded at what Naruto said when he backed away from her. She could also feel several glares at her back, and turned around to see the jealous stares of several female junins along with Hana, Yugao and Anko, while everyone else were busy at watching the names which were randomly appearing on the screen for the next match. Kurenai grinned widely before giving them the winning sign with her 2 fingers. Feeling drained and tired, Hinata immediately deactivated her new upgrade. As expected, just like Mangekyo Sharingan, her petal-like Dujutsu first turned back to the simple Byakugan, resulting in her veins around her eyes getting bulged, her pupil turning to lavender, before her eyes completely turned back to normal. Meanwhile Naruto grinned widely in excitement when he saw the 3 names flash on the screen. Rock Lee vs Uzumaki, Naruto vs Kimita Dosu. Ooh, this should be good, thought almost all of the Junins, Genins, Chunins and Cages. Uzumaki. Impossible. They all were wiped out, weren't they? Thought a stunned Mei, while Ao and Chojiro were equally astonished. Good luck for your match Naruto-kun, said Hinata with a smile while Naruto gave her thumbs up while grinning. Watch as I kick those guys' butts, he said enthusiastically while she and Kurenai giggled at his antics. Yosh. Guy-sensei. I will not disappoint you, yelled Lee with flames in his eyes while Guy cried tears of happiness. Meanwhile Mei, Yugito, A, Ao, Chojiro, B and his team paled when they saw a mini guy yelling the same youthful crap just like the weirdo beside him. Mei had a dark aura around her while Ao and Chojiro stepped away from her nervously. One was enough, but, 2, I've seriously gotta melt their balls off, and that godforsaken haircut, and those horrendous eyebrows too, come to think of it, that ridiculous green spandex too. No. I've gotta burn those idiots off this planet, thought Mei, having an evil grin on her face which unsettled Hiruzen, his 6th sense telling him that he should keep Guy and his mini clone off of Mei's radar. Would Uzumaki, Naruto, Kimita Dosu and Rock Lee come down here? Said Hayate before Dosu landed on the floor. Naruto was the last person Dosu wanted to fight, as he knew what the happy-go-lucky blonde was capable of, so naturally he was nervous and scared shitless. Afterwards Lee landed before he started doing push-ups. Meanwhile Naruto was grinning in excitement and was ecstatic at finally being able to show what he was really capable of. What should I do? Should I show them all of my techniques? Nah. I'll save the really explosive ones for later in the finals, but it wouldn't hurt to show off a bit here. I just want to see their faces, they'll know that I'm not a dead last, he thought before he was brought out of his musings when he heard the proctor yell. Oi Gaki, are you coming or not? Asked Hayate with raised eyebrows while Naruto grinned sheepishly. He did the ram followed by a snake hand sign before a small whirlwind consisting of lightning sparks engulfed him. The same whirlwind then was seen right besides Lee before it died down to show Naruto standing there rubbing the back of his back, a smile on his face. Sorry about that proctor. He apologized while the Senbon fell off Hayate's mouth as he was in pure shock at what the kid just pulled. That was the face of almost everyone there. Faces full of astonishment, surprise, jealousy, the emo kid, love with a mixture of lust, ice queens, admiration and confusion. Gee Gaki, how the hell are you able to do a shunshin, and an elemental shunshin at that, stuttered Gekko before he looked towards the Hokage. Wind shunshin. At his age, I am possible, stuttered Mei, surprise clearly evident on her face. Normally she would cover her surprise under a cheery smile, but this was too much to just drink it under her cheerfulness. No, it wasn't a wind shunshin, said A, who had his eyes widened along with B, his team and Yugito. It was AS storm element shunshin, he said astounded, making her eyes widen, who was sputtering incoherent words. Meanwhile Hiruzen too was surprised that Naruto could use 2 sub-elements. Earlier he was expecting Naruto to be proficient in 3 basic elements considering he was training with so many shadow clones for 2 months, but being able to even use sub-elements was a huge bonus for him. Yes, the Hokage side of him was happy that the village had gained a powerful bloodline user, but his grandfather's side was extremely happy for Naruto. Hokage Dono, this Gaki, are your villagers really that stupid to consider a prodigy genin like him a loser and a dead last? And what have you been teaching him anyway? 2 sub-elements. That means he has affinity for wind, water and lightning, which is extremely rare in itself. You've gotta be kidding me, this is outrageous, said a while clutching his head in frustration while Hiruzen sighed at Raikage's antics. Just wait for a bit Raikage Dono. All of your questions will be answered in a couple of minutes, said Hiruzen while inwardly smirking to himself. Does he have a bloodline yo? Said B, completely surprising Hiruzen and others by his insight. Hi, said Hiruzen while they turned their heads to gaze at Hayate, who was looking at the Hokage, to whom Hiruzen nodded at to begin the match. Yosh Naruto-kun. May the best fighter win, yelled Lee while Naruto just sweat dropped at his loudness. There's no need to yell at me, I standing right here you know, said Naruto. But that would dampen my flames of youth. He again yelled with fire in his eyes while Naruto face-palmed himself while muttering, never mind. Meanwhile Dosu was planning to first take care of Naruto, possibly with Lee's help as he knew he was no match for the blonde. Alright, you guys ready? Asked Hayate after coming over his initial shock while all of them nodded at once before creating distance between themselves. Meanwhile, all of those present were intently watching Naruto to see how would he handle himself in a fight, as they had only saw some of his abilities. Sasuke was the one who was the most focused on Naruto, his Sharingan activated, so that he could copy his jutsus and study his movements. What a bastard. Nobody present knew the extent of Naruto's abilities, not even Hiruzen. Kakashi too had Sharingan out in the open, not for the same reason as Sasuke but to study Naruto's attacks properly. He needed to know just how strong his sensei's son was after all. Hajime. As soon as Gekko declared the beginning of the match, Naruto and Lee immediately dashed towards each other, their gut instincts leading to them attacking each other first. Dosu, Kurenai and the other genins who had seen Naruto's speed were surprised to see that he was going much slower than before. The two of them went for a typical punch to their faces before they met in a clash, resulting a deadlock. Naruto's fist was caught by Lee's left hand while Lee's fist was caught by Naruto's left hand, both of them trying to overpower each other, with Naruto holding back his strength greatly while Lee too wasn't giving his all yet. Both of them flipped backwards just in time to dodge Dosu's sound gauntlet, who was aiming for them. Upon his last flip, Naruto jumped in air using chakra before pulling a shuriken from his pouch. He threw the shuriken in between where Lee and Dosu were currently approaching each other for another attack. Upon coating the shuriken with his wind chakra, he threw the shuriken at them, holding back his strength as he didn't want to kill anyone needlessly. Fuden. Shuriken Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, Wind Release. Shuriken Shadow Clone Technique, he whispered to himself after doing a couple of hand seals at moderate speed. Immediately several wind-coated shurikens, around 20, appeared with the original one before heading towards Lee and Dosu, who looked upwards in the middle of their sprint, their eyes getting widened by the second. Lee, even he had his weights on, was still holding back and thus was easily able to dodge them, while Dosu was barely able to avoid the lethal attack. What happened next had everyone's eyes bulging out of their sockets. The shadow shuriken were able to penetrate the hard concrete floor by an inch or two before being dispelled, while the original was around 4 to 5 inches deep. Impossible. How is this possible? Is he trying to kill us? Thought Dosu with wide eyes, while Lee too was having thoughts along the same line before Naruto landed away from them with a serious look on his face. I still have ways to go with this jutsu. The shadow ones are still not as powerful as the original one, and I have to work on creating more of these wind shadow shurikens. It seems my chakra control still needs a lot of work, he thought in a thinking pose. I've never seen shadow shuriken being used in collaboration with elemental natured chakra, thought an astounded Kakashi, who had seen the chakra coating the shuriken with his Sharingan, while Sasuke too was frozen in his spot. All the people present except the ones who knew Naruto personally were having difficulty accepting that this was the same loudmouth idiotic good-for-nothing ninja who failed his graduation exams twice. Never had anyone present in the arena seen such damage done by a shuriken. If these shuriken had that much power as to penetrate a concrete floor, it was a truly devastating jutsu. Meanwhile, Hiruzen too, the famed professor known for mastering every ninjutsu technique in Konoha, was greatly impressed by the technique. This Gaki has talent. I wouldn't be surprised if he's able to control one chakra tail at this point. He could be the deciding factor in the war against Akatsuki, thought the Raikage with a smirk, while Mei was watching Naruto with wonder in her beautiful eyes. Meanwhile, Naruto just dashed towards Lee before completely vanishing from the sight of all the genins except Lee, while Dosu on the other hand was expecting this and could only hope that Naruto was not targeting him right then. Naruto suddenly appeared in front of Lee, who was still surprised by Naruto's speed and couldn't react in time, hence got an uppercut followed by a spinning kick to his stomach, making Lee flying back before he righted himself in midair and landed on his feet. Lee spit some blood, but nevertheless smirked while wiping the blood off his mouth, whereas Naruto was surprised that his attack didn't affect the taijutsu genin that much. Well, I guess those muscles aren't for show after all, but still I did hold back greatly, thought Naruto, while Dosu could only stand and wait for the right opportunity to attack. Yosh, your flames of youth have improved since the last time we met, Naruto-kun, yelled Lee while pumping his fists with each other. Oh yeah, I got my butt kicked by him the last time we met, well, time for some payback, he thought before deciding to be a little more serious. Lee, the leaf's lotus blooms twice, yelled Guy while tears welled up dramatically in Lee's eyes before he saluted his adult clone. Hi Guy sensei, he yelled before bending down. To everyone's curiosity and surprise, he took out 2 sets of weights from under his leg warmers. Oh come on. Does he thinks he can beat Naruto-kun by dropping a couple of weights, thought Kin and Temari simultaneously, the latter of whom blushed upon realizing that she had addressed Naruto with such closeness. But everyone except for Guy was taken for a wild trip, even Naruto, when Lee dropped those weights, upon whose pressure formed a crater on the floor. My flames of youth shine more brightly now, shouted Lee, stretching his legs and arms a bit before he settled into the Gakken Taijutsu stance. Let's go, Naruto-kun, Lee whispered before completely vanishing from Naruto's sight. Naruto was surprised both by Lee's speed and that he didn't yell this time. Before he could do anything, he was punched hard by Lee in the stomach, followed by a kick to his chest, leading to Naruto flying back before crashing violently against the wall, creating a crater. Yosh. Now or even Naruto-kun, he again shouted while Dosu along with everyone except Guy had their eyes as wide as saucers. The speed at which he moved easily matched that of a high chunin to low junin right now. My god, no doubt Konoha is so strong. With such talented genins, you can only imagine their skills when they become junin, thought A and Mei simultaneously while Yugito, Samui, Karui, Omoi and B were getting interested in this match. Meanwhile the Ice Queens, Hinata, Sakura, Kin, Tamari and Ino watched Naruto lift himself off the crater with worry in their eyes. Sasuke had an arrogant smirk on his face while muttering, I knew that the Dobi was a loser. Kakashi was surprised by Lee's speed, but as far as he knew Guy he should have expected this. Your fate was decided the moment you were matched up against Lee, Uzumaki, thought Neji while smirking, for once he was actually rooting for Lee. What will you do now Naruto? With the speed that Lee's moving, you wouldn't even be able to complete the hand seals for any jutsu, thought Kakashi while wondering just what the unpredictable ninja had in store this time. Hee yeah, now we are even Lee, said a chuckling Naruto while coughing some blood before wiping it with his hand, the wall's debris on his clothes. Lee's along with everyone's eyes widened upon seeing Naruto get up after a crash like that, even Chunins should have trouble getting up after such a ferocious impact. Well, Jinchurikis do have high endurance and stamina, thought a trying to reason with himself while watching Naruto in amusement. Damn, my trench coat is dirty now, exclaimed Naruto while dusting off his white trench coat whereas Hana just sweat dropped. He's not worried one bit about his situation. Just like your mother, nay Naruto-kun, she thought while Yugao just chuckled besides her. Although on the outside, Naruto was acting like, in Kurabi's Oppanon, no worries Mota, I'll still beat Yae, on the inside he was frowning with himself. Damn it, I forgot to tell Itachi-sensei about this. Although my body was enhanced to gain much greater speed, strength and stamina, my normal eyes still aren't used to keeping track of someone moving this fast. However Lee's speed is still nowhere near mine. But, I think I should activate Rinnegan or else he's gonna torture me in Tsukiyomi again. Oh yeah, now that I remember I still haven't done anything to get back at him for how he tortured me in that realm, and Gigi too for keeping Kurenai-chan and the others away from me even though it was for my benefit. Hee, it's prank season, thought Naruto inwardly grinning evilly to himself before focusing on Lee and Dosu, who miraculously was still in this fight somehow. Alright bushy brow, I'm gonna get serious now. So whatever trump card you have saved for later, you better use it now, said Naruto, slowly closing his eyes while everyone except Hiruzen and the Ice Queens watched him in confusion at what he was doing. Hee, I wish I had a camera to capture everyone's faces when they see his eyes, thought Anko while Hiruzen, Kurenai, Yugao and Hana were mentally grinning to themselves.